Joining us now is former Deputy National Security Advisor and Heritage Foundation Vice President Victoria Coates. And Victoria, it's good to see you. The tone has shifted dramatically. The policy has shifted along with it over these last number of weeks. Clearly, President Trump hit some sort of wall with Putin. What do you make of this?
Well, Guy, good to be with you. Good to see you, Katie. This is very much, I think, similar to the playbook we had with Iran 2 months ago, in which the president gives diplomacy every chance and every opportunity to either the Iranians or the Russians to come to the table, make a reasonable deal, get to peace. And if they refuse, though, he's going to act. And this is why the EU trade deal that he inked yesterday is so critically important. This is American energy flowing to Europe. They don't need Russian gas anymore. This is the two largest economies on the planet bonding together. We don't need China anymore. So this is really an extraordinary trip for the president. I think Putin would do well to get the message and come to the table.
Yeah, Victoria, you mentioned, the president is not a bluffer. When he says something, he means it. So what exactly would happen to Russia? It's obviously a very different scenario than Iran, but the president mentions more sanctions, secondary tariffs. I mean, what exactly would that mean in terms of punishment for Russia outside of this key component of European countries no longer funding the war against Ukraine?
Yes, I mean, the Europeans have been funding this war for 3 years too long. But on top of that, there are the truly devastating secondary sanctions that the president has been threatening since January. And what we know now is he doesn't make empty threats. And what that means is if you do business with Russia, you are also subject to American sanctions. So that is indeed China. And when we did this in the first Trump term with Iran, Chinese stopped really importing Iranian energy. I mean, they cheated a little, but it was de minimis. And so that then would apply to countries like India, who's a great and good friend to the United States. We can offer India now increased exports from the United States. They don't have to buy the dirty Russian gas. Same thing with Brazil. They should be a friend of the United States. The current leadership's a little suspect. But, if they want to stay on good terms with America, they're going to have to stop doing business with Russia. And that's really going to crush the Russian economy.
Victoria, I want to turn to the Middle East now. President Trump backing aid efforts inside Gaza, specifically getting more food there, as groups including Doctors Without Borders warning of, quote, mass starvation. Now, that's an accusation that Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has denied. Now, take a listen to our president.
You've seen the areas where they actually have food, and the people are screaming for the food, and they're 35, 40 yards away. And they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved.
So, Victoria, I appreciated watching this live this morning. Every time Gaza came up, the president went back to October 7th and to the hostages, which a lot of the world just wants to forget about or never acknowledge. He refuses to do that, which I think is fantastic. He was addressing, though, this malnutrition situation, which appears to be, at least in some cases, rather severe. How can that crucial aid and food be delivered in a way that does not empower and enrich Hamas?
Well, and that was also, Guy, the president's critical point, that these lines are set up by Hamas. For decades now, Hamas and the United Nations have had a monopoly on aid going into Gaza, and they have used that to control the people in Gaza. What we're starting to see is the people in Gaza push back. There was an extraordinary op-ed in the Wall Street Journal last week by the head of the Popular Forces, a tribal group in Gaza, saying, look, we can help. We can start to create a different government from Hamas. These people are standing up and raising their hands. These are the people the United States should work with. I strongly support the president that we can get more aid into Gaza more effectively than has been done through the broken mechanisms of the past, and help these people. And if they want a brighter future, that is open to them.
Yeah, not just a broken system, but a corrupt one, as we've seen Hamas making billions of dollars, taking the aid from the UN, reselling it to folks, and now that's getting cut off. And now they're falsely accusing the Israelis of purposely starving the Gaza population, which is not true. I mean, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is doing great work to distribute aid away from Hamas to make sure they can't continue to drag out this war while they're still holding hostages. So there are groups that are doing this work, but the UN has been horribly corrupt for years on this issue and is working hand in hand with Hamas to continue the fighting.
And not surprisingly, Hamas made going back to the old corrupt system that fueled them one of their conditions for the ceasefire that Israel had offered. So you have 60-day ceasefire on the table there to give back 20 living hostages. This makes a lot of sense for everyone. No, they say, because we have a rival now for aid going into Gaza. That's more important to them than saving the lives of any Palestinian in Gaza.
Yeah, and the aforementioned Senator Van Hollen called for the scrapping of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation as they approach 100 million meals delivered in Gaza. It is really a disgraceful position that the senator announced just yesterday, I believe it was. Victoria Coates, great to see you. Thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.